have some names. And Christina, are you there? If Christina is there, and if
Yep.
she,
Yep, I'm there.
would you be first?
Wow, great. Okay. I chose the bench picture, and this was what came out. Bench in the woods. Whilst walking in the woods, I came upon a sitting place, a thinking place, a quiet and most peaceful place. No matter it was soaked, I sat upon my cloak of invisibility and created a mote of silence all around me. Then I felt safe to grieve for the reality that you were no longer here with me. I hoped perhaps you were there, somewhere in the soil, the plants, the trees, the air, whispering softly in the breeze. I am still near, my dear, have no fear, dry your tears. So comforted, I sat up, pulled out my handkerchief, crossed the moat back into the sunshine, finding no longer needed or wanted to be invisible. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Christina. Absolutely wonderful. I'm amazed at the speed at which anyone does that sort of thing. I'm always impressed with that. Now, anyone else that hasn't put their name into the chat, please feel free to do that. And I'll call them out in the order in which I got them. Lila Bertalan, please.
That's me.
Hi, Lila.
I'm not quite done yet with the current one, but
So will I leave you until later if you like, or would you like to read something else?
I do have something else.
Thanks.
Multiple somethings, but okay. Well, let's see this if it works. This is called Me as a Flower. Known as Conium maculatum to my business associates, or hemlock to my friends. I have no prestigious relatives. I belong in the carrot family, as my leaves make it apparent. Yet I'm a weed, and proud of it. No fragile oleander, though we share a bit of our modus operandi when it comes to our function. I have unassuming, lacy, white clusters of flowers, just like the benevolent and more common Achillea or yarrow. The difference is, she is a mild-mannered helper of digestion and circulation. I'm famous for my ability for stopping hearts. People used to treasure me for this a lot more. Nowadays, they are more inclined to shun me for it. Not that I mind. I bask in my former glory and in the light of the sun like any self-respecting flower. No offense, evening primrose and friends. I hang out mostly near water, a European native and conversant with my deep-reaching roots. Humble background, an earthy type of beauty, precious but mistrusted talent, ties to ancient Greece. In a nutshell, that's me. I was good enough for Socrates, after all. He was said to be grateful for my services. Am I in full bloom? Sometimes. And at other times, I'm more like withering. I definitely want to spread seeds of empowerment through choice, normalize happy endings, damn it, voluntary ones that have nothing to do with sickness or old age or even extraneous circumstances. I could bring it about, upon request, for those I care about, and yes, that includes me. I feel a bit neglected, growing on the side of the road like a random dandelion, or even despised like ragweed. I do my best not to let that get to me, though. That's the first thing. D- what's the time limit, or how does this work?
That's lovely, Lida. What we usually say is 5 minutes. Do you want to do another piece?
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, please.
This is gonna be a little bit different. Sideways Story. She was a girl and she was another. Sickness struck and glued them together. Well, if love is a sickness, then let it kill me, said the bird to the sky, sitting in a tree. Move forward, some said, pushing carts uphill. Go away, some said, throwing stones at will. Go back to men, some said, a sneering. Stay, let me watch, some said, alluring. In their rapture, 'twas as if they were not hearing, and sideways they went in a flowery clearing. Sideways they went, off script, off kilter, in death and each other they found shelter. It's okay to love, whispered the willow. It's okay to die, bloomed loudly the mallow. Shunning restraints both woven and bottled, their smiles were tugged into the lake. Beautiful smiles, even when green and mottled. Beautiful, as in the opposite of fake. And
Lila.
I think it's enough for now. I'm gonna be back whenever this occurs next time.
Well, I hope we'll hear from you again. We are monthly, so we'll. If anyone here is not already on our email list, if you put your email address into the chat, I'll be taking them down tomorrow, and we'll add them to our regular email list, and you'll hear every single month what's coming up and all the rest of it, and you'll get the link. So now the next person I have down here is Brendan. Brendan, please.
Hello.
Hi, Brendan, and thanks.
In following with your prompt, it's a lovely idea. Whoever came up with it is a marvelous idea. I just stuck a little thing together for it, so I'll read you that and then read you one of my own. Well, they're both my own, aren't they? A woodland bench. O woodland friend to whom we go, with tidings glad or filled with woe. You are always there to make us glad, to remember the life that can be had, to see the growth of life at root, surrounded by such bright young shoots. Dear forest friend, you too had your day. If you could speak, what would you say? Regardless of all, you provide much rest to young or old, or tired or blessed. You will never die in your woodland home, penned to these bars and set in stone. The cycle of life goes round and round. All of us know where these seeds are found. That's that. And this is a poem I stuck together last year, but for any of you that don't know what a hank is when wool is woven from sheep's wool and is woven into thread, is put in a hank, a big long thingy. And as kids, we would have to hold it between our hands and wind it into a ball then before it's knit into whatever. My hands were tired from holding the hank. She wound the ball so tight in her own special way, part of the process and a little skill before transforming the humble ball into an intricate gathering of patterns. The diamond, the rope, the blackberry, the honeycomb, the twist, the cable, the trellis and trinity. Knitting needles and yarn, prayer books never far away. My father would tell her not to knit on Sunday. When you die, he told her, you'll be making sugans out of sand at the bottom of the Dead Sea. In my childhood state, I used to think, at least I'll know how to find my mother. Whereabouts of himself could be another matter. We were never short of comfort in the winter. She knit for the neighbours, and some of them being masters at removing salmon from the nearby river made sure we were never hungry. Her great-grandmother was a spinner. The arts came down the line, so too the fishing. Eventually the two combined to leave me standing, arms outstretched, holding the untwisted hank of Arran wool, longing to go out and play. I would give the world to be able to stand there again and marvel at the simple creation of a ball and a cat playing with the thread. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Brendan. You threw it together. You definitely did. Woven like the wool. Beautiful.
Pretty much so. Thank you.
Now, John Pinschmidt. if that's okay with you, next.
There we go. Thank you, Margaret. Good evening. On this night of tributes to works of art, I'll be reading 3 short pieces about works that inspired me. The first is about a painting I saw at the Crawford Art Gallery in Cork City. Sunshine on the Beguinage by the Irish painter Norman Garston. Here's a print of it. I'll hold it up. It really got to me. And here it is. It's called Autumn Lady. Oh, black-capped, black-cloaked autumn lady of the tree's shade, the blonde-haired, white-dressed little girl before you clumsily rakes amber leaves on the flagstones and cobbles, their flat and rounded textures echoing the glorious building behind you. And what about that amber front wall, the cream door, arches, the window surrounds at your back? Better than in full bright, the tree-filtered speckled sunshine, making a sparkling tableau of rich dappled color. Yet before such splendor, you only look down on the little one, lost in her leaf-raking world, like you. Okay. And the second is a painting that my wife and I bought from another Irish artist, Mark Halpin. Here it is, and I'm going to hold this up. I have the poem attached to the back of it, and I hope that I'll be able to hold it up and you'll be able to see it there. My Golem of Prague, after an image by Mark Halpin. Bought for a song from the young artist, frameless on the old elm dresser, the towering monster near burst the confines of its small paper canvas. Fierce frowning face, huge arms and shoulders over bowed legs, thick, brown, muscled flesh bristling with dozens of arrows, a knife, axe, shield against slur, attack, and pogrom. The slab tenderness of this four-fingered hands shelter the white bearded rabbi on sharp Sittic legs, less of this earth than his naked clay-born protector. Turned reversed, the ink-bled old man is me, the whiskered face just whiteness, faint smudges of eyes, cheeks, nose, and mouth, and like the miracle that created the golem from river Fativa mud and the Hebrew incantations, nothing spikes the pale monster's thick skin. Gone the arrowed rejections, bladed comments, the acts of little or no response at all.
John, thank you for those. Absolutely wonderful to get the 3 of them in one, as it were. I love your poetry anyway, but they were a bonus, especially the last one. That image is striking.
Okay, can I read this last poem?
Oh yes, please do.
Oh, here we go. Okay, it's actually behind me, the artwork that's there to my shoulder. And this is a painting that we bought years ago in West Berlin and inspired this piece, which was also the title on my first collection, published in 2014. And that's the first collection. It's called Maiden Voyage. Maiden Voyage to Our Titanic Lady, signed Carl Zaubert, 23 December 1911. Well wrapped against bitter Berlin breezes, you set out for the studio of the young, same as the day, and on parchment, in charcoal with chalk highlights, he etched your life-size head and shoulders portrait, surely a present given to another young man the next night to remember you by. Such a stylish age to come of age, and how your profile must have pleased. The great sweeping feathered hat as wide as your fur-warm shoulders, the confident clear gaze just touched with light, on eye, nose, lips, and chin looking west, 4 months from the maiden voyage that would leave Queenstown April 11, sailing into history. We've always imagined your beauty on that great ship, not as in the film, cresting the bow, arms spread into the wind with the young Irish artist on board, though the music is perfect. A century later, on stone in the Black Hall, your image under glass, night and day reflects us as we come and go, your rich dark hair never graying like ours, your soft left shoulder never turning, your eyes ever west, your ever warm life suspended on floating white, frozen in time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. That is amazing. If you ever are in a poetry reading with Sandy Yanone, you should read that. She'd love it. She does big. If you come across her, she does a lot around the Titanic. I think she's a whole book on it, in fact. Colm Scully next, please.
Hi, thanks, Margaret. I love the ekphrastic pieces earlier. I didn't write a poem about the two photos, but this is an ekphrastic poem I wrote a couple of years ago. So here's the picture. So it's a painting from that I saw in Cadreorg Palace in Tallinn a number of years ago. It's a beautiful castle in Tallinn, in a garden in Tallinn. And at the time, I was feeling very sick, and I had a bad cold when looking at this beautiful painting, a painting of and it's by Shishkin, who's I think that's the right way to pronounce it, but he's a Russian painter, and apparently Stalin was a fan of his. He was a painter in the 19th century. So this is the poem. It's called Pine Forest. Isn't that what Stalin died of? A bad cold, clogged up for days with an infected throat, pacing to and fro the corridors of his dacha, dreaming of Shishkin's paintings, his head in a whirl. I stand in Cadreorg, facing his pine forest. For a second, my sinuses seem to clear. Scent of the needles, the crush underfoot, a peasant departing up sunlit shards. Thanks.
Thanks, Colm. Yeah, I like the way you did that. You're not hard enough on Stalin, though. Next up, I have Padraig O'Gorman, please. Padraig, are you still here? I can't see him on screen one anyway. He must be gone. Rosaline Crowley.
Hello, thanks, Margaret. Yes, I'd like to read two short poems. By way of introduction, I'd like to say I'm from Cork, and I'm actually here in the States. It's 5:41 in the afternoon here. So, I see Moze and Nick, or I don't see him there, but he's there earlier. If you look at my Facebook page, I actually have DeBarra behind me. I had the good fortune of reading there a couple of years ago. The poem I'd like to read to start with is called Land, Sea and Sand. And if you look over my shoulder here, you may see a painting. It's the cover of a book I have here called Point of Perception. And I often paint first and then I write a poem. So this is the poem that came immediately after painting the painting called Land, Sea and Sand also. Green fields stand propped up by caves, the beach separated by the waves. The sense of calm presents through serene sky. The contrasting colors make me sigh. The intersection of physical and spiritual morphs into shapes geometrical. Land, sea, and sand comfort my presence, cross over and balance my human experience. What makes my big heart glow? Where does my conscious self go? Why does my mind wander? How can my bond be any stronger? Land, sea, and sand comfort my presence, cross over and balance my human experience. As you can imagine, and the pandemic has caused that great divide, but I managed to do it through my imagination and through channeling the energy. And I'm so happy to be with you here tonight, today for me. It really makes a big difference to have this virtual community of poets and writers. So I really appreciate it. When Emily showed the photo she had of with the red cows in it, it made me think of a poem I wrote called The Road of the Red Cow. So I'd like to read that one. And so if you can put back in your heads the image of the red cows. It's called The Road of the Red Cow. By day, she would wander on the road, one direction, self-driven by habit. By night, she would return ready for the morning. So much of a routine that they called the road of the red cow. Some lives have so much routine, just like the sun rises and the sun sets, until one day, either through choice or happenstance, the world as you know it changes. In that routine world, if I was a road, what is my name? Coffee run for sanity, exercise of the lost cause, laugh of the Irish heart. In the disrupted world, what is my name? Fall from the steep cliff, spontaneous burst of the wind, cry of the lonely spirit. The measured life is safe and repetitive. Through caution to the wind, well, what do you expect? So thank you for the opportunity to read this evening. And I can just say a graduate of UCC, and if I say 1980, it will put a year on it. So thank you.
Thank you, Rosalie. You do not look old enough for that.
I'm there. Thank you.
Nicholas Wilson. Nicholas, are you here? No, I didn't. Oh, yes.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you.
Hi, let me get another place because I'm loud. Sorry about that. I just have to change where I am. Hi. So I worry because I went to kindergarten and elementary school in Germany, went to high school in Korea, and I know what an ugly American looks like. And I worry that I always come off that way. So with that, forgive me if I come off that way. I have 3 quick poems. I come off crass and brash like I need a class or crash course in social etiquette, for delicate minds tend to fold once I start sharing mine. So I'm inclined to share, though I come off with an air of vulgarity like I'm stupid, angry, or pissy. If you read between the lines, you'll find I'm closely related to a angsty hippie who has seen that everything inside of a melting pot becomes less of an amalgamation of piles, when there's something that stirs that pot every once in a while. So I'll smile and defile social changes I'll smile and defile social graces that end up making conversations a conversational block. Because the way I see it is, life is already short. So we could discuss about my dick at the preference. Say, don't judge me until you've walked a mile in my shoes. However, I won't, because I already know your response is going to colloquially be, the shoe doesn't fit, therefore the stride is incomplete. The point is, I'm out here trying to show people how I've been walking. They're just steady stuck on what others say about small feet. And my last poem is called Man to Man. Joe, I love our conversations because they can go every which way. But right now, I just got to ask you to listen to what I've got. It's always astounding, especially in the way you share them. But then you talk about things as if there's nobody to help you with the cross that you carry. So you realize that, so you feel like you don't feel like you need to show anybody that you care. You've got to open your eyes and realize that there's something wrong there. But it's more than apathy. It's more like an apathetic amphitheater where you're just hanging out by yourself, naked and bare, sitting in your own self-worth, self-hurt, and self-dirt. So you stand up, clean off your ass crack, sit down again, and have another laugh. But after the laugh is gone, after the past is gone, after the aftertaste of the aftermath of the after party for your lack of pity for the petty, you'll pay yourself a pretty penny in empathy and self-sympathy for the symphony of the self-satisfaction that you are your own faction. Now, this may just be fiction, but you stand ready for your own crucifixion. What I'm trying to tell you is that it will come self-served, because your self-worth may be worthy of a king, a thane, or any royal domain. But in the end, when the time is here and you shed no tears and you shared no care, you're going to wake up, awoken by the idea that this whole time you've been broken, like a fractured bone in the body of society. So with these fractious lies that you're telling me, it feels like you're trying to compel yourself to believe that it's okay for you to die alone. But how is that leading a king's tombstone? It's mindsets like that that keep names like Ozymandias a name well known. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nicholas. Do you enter those poems in slams? Oh, he's gone. You do well in the slam champions.
I'm sorry, I'm still here.
Do you enter any of those in the slam competitions, poetry slams? Your pace and your rhythm is kind of suitable for that. You should consider it.
I'm sorry, my internet my internet kind of paused off.
Yeah. But
I have entered some of my poems into some literary magazines. I've yet to be published. I'm a self-independent publisher, but I'm really not going to talk about that book because it's not very good. So I wouldn't compel anybody to read it. But thank you.
Well, don't forget the slams if you ever come across them.
Oh, I'll definitely would love to come by them.
Good. Now, Janet Harper next, please, Janet.
Hi. Yeah, I wrote something from the prompt. It's called Butcher's Window. Why is that red now so old-fashioned? Like a cover of a Jackie mag, or that old jumper that went from brother to sister to me. The colour of blood drying on marble, staining wood and hands and the cotton-wrapped belly of the butcher. She preferred a pre-packed chicken. But still, she loved to pick over bones, relished gristle, and embraced what could be called waste. She served us stories, like offal almost forgotten, and fed us sweetmeats of memory, of children sent to ask for credit, and a bell tinkling above a shop door. And if you're not all about to fall asleep, this is an ekphrastic poem that I wrote a while ago. It's called Court, inspired by a woman bathing in a stream by Rembrandt. It was hot and the air hung too heavy. He wanted to paint as he always did, capture the light, hold shadows steady. The day was moving slowly, dull, fetid, languorous and thick with flies above mud. I stood and walked into the sunlit river to wash and let the cold refresh my blood, feel a shock, that joyful icy quiver. I watched small fish in shoals dart for cover. From me, the danger in their watery world. I mused on escape and artful lovers, how like paint water is when mud is stirred, how anyone can make a picture lie, and would he catch the whiteness of my thigh? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie or Dennis. I remember the Jackie magazine very well. In the 60s, when I was a teenager, I used to read it every week.
Yeah, for some reason that meat reminded me of the colour of a Jackie mag. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. It never occurred to me, but that was wonderful because you wrote it at such a speed. It's amazing.
Brilliant idea. I love the idea of the photos. Very nice. And great readings. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one I have here is Therese Birch.
Yeah, hi.
Therese, hi.
Well, I don't think I'm going to do the job on the butcher that Janet did. That was very and I really didn't want to do anything on the butcher because it was kind of gross. I would have preferred the bench, but I couldn't get to the bench. So this is kind of a little funny thing, and yet it's serious. And then I have one of my own. This is kind of quick. I wonder if I ever will be able to abstain from eating flesh from animals so easy as they came from supermarkets that pretend that no beginning, just an end. But when I think this steak once mooed and pork chops used to squeak, it's hard to settle in to eat my daily meals each week. They say pollution's at an end when herds are minimized, but others say that's just a hoax from corporate level guys. We're living at the apex of an evolutionary tide. How will I choose my food this week? With selections ran so wide. I do not know, but this I do. I'll try to listen for the moo. And every time I shop, I'll see the beans and tofu beckon me, and hope to do my very best to choose for all within my nest. I wish I were a vegan. That's my wish, to be a vegan. I have granddaughters that are. I'm still trying. So this is very different. I just pulled out a poem, and it's called I Feel a Haunting. Number 1, the meeting. In that room, I knew the way. Yes, it is true, you know, that it was you. And who knows in the underground of genes or DNA if we were meant to be. I didn't ask. Somehow I knew the way. I didn't ask. Your presence really was all you had to say. Yes, in that room, I knew the way. As life unfolds and multiplies with ripening fruit in other ways and others too. Yes, it all began with you. Well, is that so? I do not know. Number 2, the grieving. I feel a haunting now within my bones, which words cannot describe. This hollowness cannot be filled, like dying while alive. I'm traveling back to home now to make a home and passing by what it is we never owned, as no one ever does. But then I wear that remnant in my flesh from all we've ever been. And this is life and this is love. Our story never ends. Bejeweled in diamonds, on I go, but never to pretend. Now, when I feel within my bones a call to count the loss, I enter in just as in birth and sail for other shores. 3, paradise unfolds. It's paradise, my head cried out in melancholy tone, not in embraces from a love, however much it's grown, withdrawing then so speedily from that shame at which remembering is aimed. When I recall that blessed night, I bless that night, I bless the light, which never was too far from sight. My body met with destiny, my body wet from love of you, a wondrous love, yes, and then from every portal of my being, and one glorious risk now taken, we were just one. My heart, now breaking in reply, sings out to heaven with a sigh. It was not a taste of love forsaken, nor was it just a love mistaken, but of unending love awakening. The end.
That's lovely, Therese. Thank you.
Thanks.
And your other one as well was very thoughtful.
Thanks. This is, I have to tell you, I just love, I can't always get here, but I love it. And I will do some of this, looking at the, pictures and paintings. It's beautiful.
Oh, that's great that you found inspiration in them. That's what we like. The next person I have down here now is Richa Rose.
Yes, hello, Margaret and everyone. Thank you for allowing me to read. And I've been working on a recipe series, ekphrastic, melding the artist, the poetry, in a minimalist fashion. So the first thing I noticed was you had the meats at the market. So I'm going to read my poem called Recipe Francis Bacon. If you know, Francis Bacon is an artist. So this is Recipe Francis Bacon. In a skillet, sizzle thick, homoerotic dark slabs mixed with an oily impasto of banana yellow, glowing orange, and pomegranate red. Fry on medium heat, careful not to splatter against walls and doors as it browns. Let out a visceral mantra, bacon, bacon. Slice a rack of beef, add potatoes, popes, twisted limbs, eggs, and gnawing lovers. Spoon in drops of blood, salt. Turn until crisp. Let out another visceral mantra, bacon, bacon. Garnish with cheddar and chives, blueberries on the side. Dangle a Marlboro from screaming mouth. Pour a glass of whiskey on an overcast day. Sit in an empty room, perhaps a cage. Do not forget your umbrella. And if you like, I could read one more for you that I'm working on, recipe Georgiana Houghton. And Georgiana Houghton was a spirit drawing artist who mixed, the realm of spirits in with art. And in going with Therese's haunting, this is a little fun recipe called Recipe Georgiana Houghton. Prepared to communicate with spirits across a stark seance canvas. Ready lively watercolors, allow planchet and mind to roam. Stir brown, rose, and violet matter. Chant, Houghton, Houghton. Combine abstract flowers and fruits. Mix 70 fluid archangels. Well-beaten lemony bowl souls. Add a helping of Henry. Lenny, chant, Houghton, Houghton. Pour ethereal ingredients into pan of consciousness. Bake in transcending flavors. Capture aroma of the psyche. When done, lay a ghostly frosting with specter of dots. Open eyes, enjoy. Or dare to enjoy. Could be either way, working on it. Thank you.
We want to hear more of them.
Thank you. I'm working on them. They just like come out of the, clear blue, but they're fun,
Exactly. And that's the way it happens as well. It's nice when it does. Catherine, do you need to be next or is second next okay for you? Where are you?
Oh, second next, whatever.
Perfect, Catherine, thanks. So Ruth, yeah, you're next, Ruth, please.
So my leaving Catherine go now, she's very important.
I know, that's why I asked her.
And actually, like, maybe if she went first, then I would feel awful. So actually, I'll go first, yeah, pick her. You're too good, pick up. So this is an ekphrastic poem around the pictures of the meat. So I've entitled it Saturday Mornings in the English Market. A widowed father tripping over grief, in reality that Pyrex dish dinners trickle to a stop. And so now Saturday mornings are spent with little girls trawling the market. Tripe and sheen start, Oh, the dreaded stench of boiled milk burned on white enamel hob, a clove-studded onion. Why? Why? Mince, a pound for a pound. Boil it, skim the fat, ought to be a grand shepherd's pie. Lamb shanks, 50p, 3 please, because that's our family now. Sleeves of bodice, ribs, cut bone through cured pink flesh, and chicken, part bones. It brings us to the green fountain when water flowed and the bluebirds were wet. This place of carcass, entrails, and offal, tissue that brings us back to family. There you go.
Thanks very much, Ruth. Catherine, you're on now.
And I have to follow that now.
I know. And you're able to as well.
Ruth, I'll get you back. This wasn't. I took this poem out of a collection. I was inspired by Roisin's reading tonight, and I took out a poem that I have written about the mother and baby homes as well. It's called Earth Reveals. They stuffed me, throat and ears, with earth, but I sang beyond choking, a seed buried deep to regrow through cracked ribs, quiet limestone bricks, ivy never silent, houses breathing secrets. I have a name, even if it was whispered only to me once.
Thanks, Catherine. I love that one. I think it's so moving. And the way you read it as well is just so sympathetic sounding and full of compassion.
Thanks, Margaret. And thanks, everyone. It's a fantastic night altogether.
Catherine is one of our volunteers as well, one of our team. The next person I have here is Jordan Mack.
Yeah, that's me. Thanks, Margaret, and thanks to DeBarra's for hosting a really enjoyable event tonight, and thanks indeed for the opportunity to read as well. This is a poem about golf. It's quite short, and it's, I suppose, dedicated to those of us who aren't very good at golf. It's called 4. A ping in the hills, a thud in the sand, finding the pin elusive, redness to mirror the flag. I swing low and hopeful as comrades snigger to the 19th. I'll pull iron and wedge and putter. I'll put the spikes out with the wind. The black ruby stuff soothes. A frustrated soul stood slouched. No coach or app can guide the guy who tries in vain. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. Great humor in that. For any golfers especially, they'd love it. Next one I have here is Nico. Is Nico still here? Don't think so.
I think he read already. I think that was a slam style, Nicholas.
Oh yeah, that was it, maybe. Thanks a lot for that, Lauren. Ada, you're next.
Oh, that me already. Okay, thanks. It's a wonderful, wonderful night, and I was inspired by Lauren to actually read the only Sistina I have so far written. It's in, I will drop a link now, actually. You're welcome to ignore that. It's in my self-published collection where the Sistina actually is put, and the idea behind this collection and behind the poem is that, it is so hard to copy this link now. The idea behind this collection is that a week, it's called a month and a week, and that's the main idea, that time is slipping by. I wrote it somewhere in the, I don't remember, it probably was autumn or summer, I don't remember, but it's a very locked down thing, but it's also relatable, I think, in other times of the year, or if this pandemic is over, I think it will be relatable still. It's called Week 3 Says Bloody Tina. Okay. Inevitable and dread, with purposes and with wise, recognize in it the same. When Monday convulsions through the last gasps of its last wave, an evening falls. And next one of Tuesday falls, opens mad eyes, wired, red, to a sickening mad wave, procrastinating its wise, seeming harmless enough through eyes of the same mistaken you. All the same variety of crab falls, keeping you entertained through the seconds, seeing things red. A Wednesday kills you and vice versa. Next wave belongs to Thursday. You wave it hello to cook the same dish for it to be made vice president of fails and falls department. Too much tape, red. Grin and limp through and shout, we're done, we're through, inevitably, and wave goodbye again. Pour some red for Friday, your best friend. Same variety of crab falls, feeds eyes with wise. Saturday kills you and vice versa. Can't pass any message through, all communication falls apart. In the microwave, your food suffers all the same. It's something red. Maybe a pie. Wise will wave through Sunday all the same. Run, it falls apart. Red. That's it. And I don't know if there's time for more. I will do another piece that I recently wrote, and I want to have a word of thanks. She's not present here with us, but to Sabu, who's holding Blue Monday writing sessions, and those sessions are providing wonderful prompts and keep me writing things. So this one is about poetry and just language as a medium of communication and the problems behind it. It sounds like a praising thing, but it's actually riddled with doubt for me. I mean, that's the way I meant it. And I titled it, I didn't know what the title should be, but then I just put all the letters, all the first letters of every line. So it's like a mock ekphrastic, and the title came out as Vava, something like that, like an interjection. There are a lot of W's and one Y there. Words are the stitches for the torn fabric of life, a make, do, and mend parade. Words are a Gordian knot cutting knife, your verbalized fire brigade. Words to help the seed that escaped condoms and learned to walk, and to clothe the naked truth. Words ever helping the death row folk and the babe with a tooth and tooth. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ada. So philosophical, that one especially. No, Massimo Lavelle, please.
Hey,
Hi, Massimo.
thanks for having me. I know it's late, but I noticed people were doing a poem from a picture and then an original. So maybe I'll just do an original and then follow it up with a poem I wrote on the picture. This is the original. I go so deep and only touch the surface. Try to take a peep, but curtains fall behind the curtains. I look for purpose, but I wonder if the world was perfect before I ever thought I had to try to turn around and turn it. I tried to struggle, I was humbled, and I tried to pray. I tried to tell the truth, but it was more than I could say. I prayed for sunny days and prayed when the skies were gray. But deep inside, I just want to go outside and play. If I maintain focus, will I be okay? Or must I learn to let things happen as they may? What if the path or the way is not a passageway, but just a place to stay and watch it all pass your way? From my point of view, my view is what I'm pointing to, moving from a point to a point that it's joined to. You may say that you're the center when I point to you. So I say, hey, you've got a point, and I join you. Perception is perspective that's respective. So with respect, just reflect and be receptive. Can a line without direction find its own directive as the dots just collect in the collective? But maybe it's not so symmetrical. In a world so uncontrolled and unconventional, Maybe some mistakes can be intentional to show that when you test the truth, it shows you it's immeasurable. If truth is absolute but flexible, the same way that we're solid but we're bendable, the same way that we're breakable but mendable, but never truly broken if our mending is eventual. So I stop for a second, look around and take a second take of a single second. How a single breath can mingle with the essence quicker than a thought to find a thought in sync to step with, and then catch its breath with. The effort of non-effort, edging toward attainment, to the art of non-attachment, to detach by not attaining it. Change the mold, break it, break the mold, shape it, the same mold that made you, so as you mold, you make it. The world takes course in a way laid before it, and even in ignoring it, maybe the course is not avoided. To the source with an origin that moved to outsource it, for you to not need to move forward, just to move towards it. So you don't have to travel the whole world to find out that you are the world looking inside out. It doesn't take a lot of soul searching to find out that you can find yourself anytime you take the time out. And I'm out. Thank you. Thank you. And then I wrote about the bench. So it's real short. So thank you. Hold on a minute. Okay. I heard all the world's a stage, but instead of a performer, from the suffering I've seen, I'd rather be a bench warmer. I am not a prophet, a forecaster, or forewarner. I'm just a child growing old on a bench in the corner. Life is beautiful. Life is gorgeous. Life is lovely. So is a rose, but that doesn't mean I just let its thorns cut me. I may give my gifts, but I won't let you take them from me. So I sit on a bench and feed the birds. They don't love me, they're just hungry. To grow strong through my pain, like a fist, my heart clenches. But I still have memories that grow between my guarded heart's fences. Memories that light my way through life's deep and dark trenches, like my mother and my father, tall trees and park benches. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo. It reminded me when you started off of the Iron Curtain that people my age would live through and remember. Absolutely marvelous stuff. You have to enter the slams, I presume you do. Another slam poet tonight. Now, my next person is Christina. Did you have something in addition? Where is she gone? She's actually gone.
Nope, I'm here. I'm here.
Good. Thanks, Christina. Do you have another piece ready?
I do.
Great.
I do. I wrote one about the butcher. It's short. I could only see the meat. The butcher behind the tall glass was just a voice. My mommy was friends with him. She'd sing out in her musical Colombian accent, "So what should I have for dinner tonight, Mike?" She was on a first name basis, and he would say, "How about a nice rump roast?" And together they'd giggle, but the joke never made sense to me. Her reply was often, "What's on sale?" He saved his fatty leftovers for her so she could make suet for her birds. And sometimes, if we got cold cuts, Mike would come around the corner with a slice of bologna for me. I remember Mike had kind, dancing blue eyes and a round belly with a white apron tied round front, full with pink lines from where he wiped his bloodied hands. And years later, the butcher's shop expanded to include a fancy deli. And when my mom was in the hospital, he sent my mom special meals to feed her soul, telling me he would not dare let his best customer eat hospital food. And we were sure that that's what cured her. I have one more that's really quick, I think, if there's time. Let me just get it. It's my son is a brown-skinned little boy, so this is my take on what's going on in the world right now. It's called The Colors of My Family. My eyes are blue, my skin is rosy white, my hair is brown or blonde or gray, it depends on the day, but the blood in my veins always bleeds red. And purple and green are my favorite colors, but I hate getting black and blue. My grandma descended from Vaughns, and my nonna was Venetian nobility, so I've got noble blood in my veins, and never once have I worried for my safety. But my two terrific kids, they don't look like me. My daughter could be Jasmine, an Arabian princess from the Middle East, with long black hair and olive skin, and my son has chocolate brown skin and soft black curly hair everyone wants to touch. Adopted from another womb, I'm their single mom, crazy, loyal, true blue. I'm mama to all who enter my tiny little home, and I worry and care for all my kids, for their safety, their mental health, and well-being, but especially my son, for he is the one who he fits the description of every perpetrator of any crime, tall, brown, usually wearing a hoodie. And I worry for his beautiful partner, for her eyes are gorgeous almonds, like my nieces and nephew too. And so many seem so angry with them now, blaming them for this virus. It's so ridiculous, as if every agent has such power. I worry for all my kids who cannot change the way they look. They cannot change their skin like clothes or take off their eyes like a pair of glasses. I worry someone might mistake them for another, do them harm just because they don't pay attention to differences. They are angry and they have a gun. They lump them all into one, making one very big mistake. In our family, we had the talk when my kids were young, not to play outside with a water or Nerf gun. Why not, mommy? It's just a toy. They're fun. Staring wide-eyed in disbelief at the explanation, so contrary to the talk of police are our friends. And when he began to drive, we spoke again. Oh my God, this never ends. It made me sadder still to realize my parents never, ever thought or needed to have this talk with me, ever. It makes me sadder and madder still knowing this conversation continues on and on, still so necessary, yet does it help? I wonder. I text my kids every single day, be safe, be smart, be kind, and I pray they will come home safe to me, because every day the news blares more violent tragedies. And just a few minutes ago, the latest news yesterday, a disgruntled employee shot up the local grocery where my Indian friend's daughter shops, and her gorgeous brown grandkids are on lockdown again. When will the slaughter of my beloved, colorful children end? Thank you all.
Thank you, Christina. A lot of good advice there. Now, before I call on our very final poet, Lila, again, is there anyone that I missed out and that would like to read? No, Lila, you have one more piece, and you can.
Oh yeah, you noticed that I got done with the task.
Oh, good.
Or that's why you're calling me again.
Yes, please.
Okay. I have to find it because I did not expect this, but okay. I did the butcher one as well.
Where we have time for one of them.
I mean, never mind. I just did that one. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. So I take the monthly pilgrimage to the ATM and then the mall. The first thing I look for under the glass is always liver, kidney, heart. Not only because they are more nutritious than the muscle tissue we call meat, but also because it's cheaper. You taught me the word for it in English. Offal. Sounds disgusting, sounds like a thing to be discarded. If I ever heard it before, without the context, I might have assumed it meant something like manure. Such an ugly word for such delicious parts. I fried my heart for you, washed it off, cut it up, seasoned it with ginger and salt and onions and pepper and left it to sizzle until it was soft enough to be chewed. I stood there, plate in hand, bones full of anticipation, eyes full of questions. I expected you to taste it and say something like, "Well done," or "This is good." You spit it out and said nothing. I quickly absconded to my room, with the plate still steaming. I was dizzy. I gorged myself on the rubbery pieces until I couldn't eat more. There were a few left. I gave them to the cats. They love viscera just as much as I do. It must have looked quaint to you, strange, even gross, like a child after a scolding, presenting a worm he caught, hoping that you will love him again if it's big and slimy enough. Offal is cheap, after all. Sought after by the rejects, the lowly, the second-world girl with her big, naive eyes. What was I thinking, cooking it up for my American lover? I let my stomach replace my heart. It gobbles up the universe, bit by bit, soothing the pain with liver, kidney, heart. But its most effective medicine looks like clear water. And it is, kind of. 60% water, 40% sweet poison. Every medicine wears off eventually, though. And then I remember, I fried my heart for you.
Oh my God, Lila, that's a lovely one to usher us out on. Now, if anyone is saving the chat, Lauren, do you want to say something about Lime Square Poets? Just to
yeah, I popped the link in there for you know, anyone who's a true poetry addict and needs even more open mic. There's a link in the chat there. You can click through and all the info's there, or find me somewhere on the interwebs and ask me questions, no problem.
Thanks, Lauren. Moze, do you want to wind up the evening?
Yeah, it's like the like, yeah. Okay, wind up the evening. Thank you all very, very much. And thank you especially to Emily, who instigated this whole project. And I think it's a great project. And I messed up a little bit with the recording, but maybe we can make amends in some ways. Our next, also thank you very much for all the poets who came, all the writers who came, because I think I've heard some great works tonight. And I've seen some lovely pictures in my mind. Our next guest on the 19th of May is Molly Toomey. Molly is 25 years old and she's from Lismore in County Waterford in Ireland. And she's already won a few prizes and she's a really lovely girl, really nice poet. And her focus, it's going to be a workshop as well, and her focus is on mythology. She's chosen the myth of, oh God, I can't pronounce it. not in the Greek words. Demeter, do you say? I would say Demeter in Holland, but you probably say something else. And Persephone, I've got that right. You know, which is about life, death, light, darkness. What more can we want? So if you're on our mailing list, you'll get the information and the poems and the link to the video. Thank you ever so much. And I hope to see you again. Okay. Thank you very much, Margaret, as well. And I'm going to stop the recording.